Hey there, I'm a traditional country singer. I'm on a mission to bring true country music back in style.
My life is just another country song, another somebody done somebody wrong. Well, you know why I'm singing the blues. If you walked a mile in my shoes, whoa, poor, pitiful me. I wish it was all let make believe. So turn it up when you turn it on. My life is just another country song.
For me, Nashville doesn't seem like a place you're going on vacation to. It feels like a second home to me. It's kind of exotic, and all those buildings and all the cool places. So it's kind of like the fun part of being on vacation, but it's also like you just know everybody when you're there. I mean, I've never met a rude person in Nashville ever, and it's whether it's a waitress or a gas station attendant or your producer or his wife or the studio that you're going to record in, just everybody there, they talk to you like they've just known you forever, and they're nice and sweet and helpful, and I literally could see myself living there or living there part-time. It's a place that when you leave, you almost kind of feel like you're leaving home, and when you go back, you kind of feel like you're arriving home.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I think that, for me, when we go to Nashville now, for sure, I'd been through Nashville several times, just driving through and stopping and talking to people and things. But but now, going there, it feels like I'm going back to see family. Going and hanging out with Tony and his wife it's like hanging out with my uncles,
Tony is like the dad I never had.
Yeah, Tony's awesome, man. He really is.
If I could have handpicked a dad, I would have wanted him to be Tony Ray Jones.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, I can see that. And my dad was a lot like Tony. I think they had a lot of same thought processes. So yeah, I can see that. I think for me, Nashville, there's so much history there. I feel like a small person when I go to Nashville, just because there's so much history there, and there's so much to do in Nashville that while it might be a touristy place, it's also a place full of culture.
Right. Yeah.
And as I get older, culture means a lot to me. Going and hanging out in Nashville, it seems like it's just a different experience than even hanging out in, say, Memphis or New Orleans or any of those big cities I've been in before. Cincinnati, Ohio. I mean, not that those are not great cities. It's just, I don't know, Nashville's just got a different aura about it.
It's different, yeah.
It just, I think when you pull into Nashville, especially when you're an artist, when you pull into Nashville, it's just, you just feel different. You feel like you're supposed to be there, and I think for me, that's what I get when we go to Nashville.
And then there is some sadness there. I mean, when we drove down Music Row and we looked at all those for sale signs and all those apartments that had probably once been a recording studio or a label, and it's not anymore. That it was kind of sad.
Yeah.
And then the stories. I mean, we've heard so many stories about specific places where artists used to congregate, unknown artists used to congregate, or songwriters used to congregate, and they've tore it down and didn't even consider that was such a rich part of that town's history. It's sad. Yeah. And not being from there, it still makes me sad.
Yeah. No, it does me too. And I think for lots of different reasons, but one of the reasons is because I don't get to go experience that same, as an artist, I don't get to go experience that same feeling that they felt whenever they were in those places and writing and making music. It's a somber thought process. So the first time that I went to Tony's studio was very, very nerve-wracking for me. I was extremely, and I normally don't get intimidated. And I don't know if it was intimidation or just fear that, well, what am I doing here? But when I got there, Tony was so down to earth and so nice that he made all my fears just disappear.
Throughout each day and not forget the past. And that's all I got.
I like the idea.
I mean, I was still a little nervous when I got in the booth the first time because, I had never sang for anybody of his caliber before. And so, I was nervous and I didn't want to get rejection right off the bat, major rejection. Because at that time I was still a little down on myself about, whether or not I was good enough to be a recording artist. And I think that, just working through all the kinks with him that specific day, just learning, just the basics about being in the studio and what to do with the headphones and how far to be away from the mic and different things like that. He just made all the fears just go away, and it was real easy for me at that point. When we were headed out to the studio, we knew it was out in the country, and I wasn't 100% sure like how far out into the country it was, but we get off on this little side road and we're taking it out and we're going out in the middle of the boonies, and I was like, oh Lord have mercy, where are we going? I mean, Heather and I were talking about, well, we know it's out in the country, but when you first get to his driveway, you turn into his driveway, and it's like this little cabin sitting back up on a hill. You're driving up the parking lot, and there's one little parking spot here, and then there's a sign out there that says, welcome to Backwoods Studio, and it looks like a house. It just looked like a little house. It didn't look like a studio. What I had envisioned as a studio. I literally thought, oh, we're probably literally going to go into a basement, and this is probably what we got here.
That's what I thought too.
And
I thought, Lord, what did I get you into?
Right, we thought we were going into some sort of basement studio or something, and but when you walk in, once we got out, Tony came out and greeted us. They have a nice little wraparound porch on the front, and he came out onto the porch, and we all walked in. And when you first walk in, they have like a little seating area. I guess it's like a little, I don't know if you call it an office area, kind of.
Yeah.
It's kind of where Patty
foyer
sits.
and
It's foyer, and where Patty sits with her desk, and then they've got a little couch and stuff sitting in there. And then the actual studio, the studio rooms are off to the right. He's got a set of double doors right there, and you go through those double doors and to the studio, and he's got a nice little couch and a chair in there, and then he's got his big work table, I guess, workstation. His console is the right word for it. And then the vocal booth is literally right behind, and then he has a second vocal booth that's behind the console, or off to the left of the console, that is actually another recording room, but he typically doesn't use that unless he's got a full band inside there. And then that's where the vocalist would be. And then they've got a drum room off to the right, and then he's got pianos and guitars and things like that. So it's a really cool place. But when you're in the foyer area, you can look into they have a kitchenette in there, or basically a full kitchen. It's a full kitchen in there. And then there's the restroom, of course, and then there's like a drum room, a guitar room, vocal room, and then he also has mics and stuff set up out in the just the sitting area where other instruments could be played.
Once you walk through the double doors for the first time and you go in, it looks like a full professional studio, and it's so nice. And he gave us a little tour, and he told us they actually took a house and renovated it into a studio, and they worked really hard, and they did a phenomenal job making sure the acoustics were great and everything. They angled the ceilings and did everything they were supposed to do to make it sound phenomenal, and it's so professional. And so when we first drove up, because I'm the one that found it, I did all the calling. I thought, I've just messed up. We're going in somebody's basement, and this is gonna sound horrible. But then when we went in and we walked through the double doors, I was so grateful that I found them because it was so good. It's a really professional studio, and it's the perfect blend of a professional studio and a relaxing environment.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, that's one of my favorite things about Tony is because I'm the same way when it comes to music. When I'm singing and now making music, I want it to be as professional as possible, and he is phenomenal. I mean, he knows his stuff.
Yeah.
You know, he literally knows. That's why he put certain angles and stuff like that in his studio on the walls and the ceilings, because he wants it to sound like what you would get if you went and paid $40,000 to cut a song at one of the big, record labels. So he's that good. No regrets at all choosing Tony. I really believe that Tony and Patty have become a second family to us, and so we love going out there. We love them to death, and we love going out there and just hanging out with them. And shoot, I love hearing stories that he tells about what he did in his younger years.
They have all kind of sayings in Texas. This old man, we called him Bird Dog. He used to come hear me, but I love him. He's just one of those old country guys that had a farm. I said, Bird Dog, how you doing today? He said, well, I'm doing pretty good. He said, I'm doing better. He said, I feel more like I do now than I did a while ago. I went, I feel more like I do now than I did a while ago. And I never forgot it. I feel more like I do now than I did a while ago. How you feeling? That's good, man. I said, and I'll never forget that. That was in the 80s. I never forgot it.
It's inspiring to me, because I want to do that same stuff. I want to do that same kind of stuff. So, yeah, no regrets at all. I think that I would imagine that probably anybody who is apprehensive once they, when they go out to Tony's place, probably has the same reaction after the fact. They're probably like, this was probably the best decision I could have ever made.
Yeah.
Because him and Patty are just, like, they're so down to earth. And that's how I am. I guess I don't really meet a stranger, so I like to, I like talking and interacting with other people who are down to earth, and they don't look down on you. And, that's one of the other great things about him is I had never done that. I've never done any kind of recording per se. I recorded a couple songs here in Jonesboro at a recording studio, but we didn't do anything technical. And
that really was like a basement.
Right, exactly. And Tony literally walked me through all the technicalities of recording, and most of it, he said, just kind of come natural to me, just from probably just singing, throughout my life. But that's one of the great things about him is he's so technically proficient, but the way he, I don't really know how to say it, the way he distributes that knowledge onto you as the artist, he's just really good at making you feel comfortable, even if you don't know what the heck he's talking about. Because he may say something and I'll just agree with him. I'm like, yeah. And I didn't have a clue what he was saying.
It's not a straightforward. It's more like that. Now, in the studio, they'll play to a click. You'll hear dum 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 dum. You'll hear that. That's to keep you on beat. And they always play with a click.
Okay.
That keeps you on time. Here's what you're going to hear in studio. That's what you're going to hear with the drums. You're going to hear that all the way through, because that's how the musicians stay on time. So, of course, if there's a pause or a break, they'll know when to come in on the front. So,
but he breaks it down and explains it and
Right.
makes you feel comfortable and not make it without making you feel stupid.
Yeah. So,
And learn.
long story short, no regrets at all, and I would highly recommend I don't care if you're an artist that's been doing it for 45 years. I would recommend you go and record with Tony.
At Backwoods
At Backwoods Recording Studio. The business side of being an independent artist is sometimes frustrating.
You want him to move his hand?
Yeah, Yeah, do something else with that hand. Like,
The one that, yeah.
hold your guitar like you're gonna play it or something.
Oh.
Picture that.
You said do something else with your hands, so that's what I was doing.
Like, actually, kind of a pain in the neck sometimes over it.
No, you can be 100% truthful. I was a pain in the butt. That's where.
All right.
Don't get frustrated and mad with me. It's okay. Everything don't have to be one take.
Are you ready?
I'm ready to go.
Is it rolling?
It's been rolling.
Oh. Tell what I'm saying. Oh, I don't know what I'm saying.
Poor pitiful me. I wish it was all that make believe. So turn it up when you turn it on. My life is just another country song. So turn it up when you turn it on. My life is just another country song.